The government seems to be completely unmoved by the No VIP campaign that has been seen in recent days and weeks across the country. The government has clarified there is no proposal to curtail privileges for MPs at airports across the country. Something that has been very controversial, something that always causes a great deal of convenience to the Aam Aadmi. There have been protests against this repeatedly, but the government clearly seems to be unmoved at this moment. Joining me for more on that is my colleague Sunil Prabhu. Sunil, many were hoping that given all these campaigns that we've seen in the recent past, one even spearheaded by NDTV, where so many people express strong views against the VIP culture that we see in so many forms in this country, one had hoped that the government would perhaps take some measures to improve things in that direction, but it looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Absolutely, Neha. It's like putting water on a duck's back. It's extremely shameful. Our taxpayers' money. And really the icing on the cake is today an answer that was given in Parliament by the Civil Aviation Minister. The question being asked is details of the protocol arrangements for VIPs, including MPs at various airports. They go on to say, have there been complaints and what has been done in terms of adherence of the protocol in airports and airlines during the last 3 years. And then, of course, whether there is any proposal, and we thought that there will be some kind of proposal to curtail the privileges and protocols after this entire media campaign that was done by NDTV to really ensure that, there will be no distinction between VIP passengers. But of course, the government has responded by saying no, there is no proposal to curtail. They go on to say that there will be reserved and lounge facilities at international and domestic airports for members of parliament. Tea, coffee, water will be provided free of charge. There will be one designated officer at each airport to look after the courtesies and facilities that are required for members of parliament. Members of parliament will be given free access in terminal buildings and visitors galleries, as well as their personal staff both in New Delhi as well as in their constituency. Having said that, there have been various complaints that have come from members of parliament in the recent past, and based on that, suitable instructions, reminders have been sent to the airlines as well as to the Director General of Civil Aviation to ensure that the due courtesies that are required to be given to our honourable members of parliament who see themselves as VIPs will be given those facilities. So clearly the government in no mood to relent at this stage,
right.
And clearly members of parliament will continue to be very important persons, apart from being the chairman of the Airport Advisory Committee of the airport that comes under their constituency.
Right, so it's always been, in a sense, the so-called very important persons versus the Aam Aadmi in this country. Sunil, and what makes many people angry is that day after day we see scenes of ruckus in Parliament with the government and the opposition not agreeing on any issue at all. But when it comes to these kind of issues, privileges for our MPs, privileges for our politicians and the so-called VIPs, for example, we see usually political parties closing ranks.
Absolutely. There's bipartisan support for that. You won't see a ruckus on that. Not even they will say it is their due right, it's their due facility that should be given. And I don't think there will be any two... I mean, they're quite clear that this is something that is mandatory. It's a privilege that they require. And as you saw the government's response, the present government saying that there is no move to curtail or stop. So apart from having a protocol officer at every airport to look after the needs of members of parliament, now they will be given free water, tea, coffee, a reserve lounge at international and domestic airports. And then, of course, they carry on to be the chairman of the Standing and Airport Advisory Committee. So clearly, they have really a cool life, as one would say, apart
right.
from free access to all government terminals, buildings, and not only for them, even their personal assistants. So it's great to be a member of parliament.
Absolutely, isn't it, Sunil? And perhaps not so great really to be an Aam Aadmi in this country, many would say, with so many privileges being extended to our politicians. Thanks very much, Sunil, for bringing us those details.